Hello, I'm Jeff. Welcome to my channel and welcome to my presentation of the April 8th, 2024 Total Solar Eclipse. I hope you and your families were able to enjoy the event. I'm presenting to you 4 parts today that hopefully capture the grandeur and the splendor of God's creation represented throughout the total solar eclipse. The first part is a video music that is comprised of video clips from my total solar eclipse visit to Yellowwood State Forest in Indiana. The highlight of this was the primary focus of my trip, and that was 120 frames per second capture of Bailey's beads. I hope you enjoy it. The second part is a presentation with music that is of still images only. This gets into the HDR components as well as the various phases and different transitions throughout the total solar eclipse. Then part 3 presents a director's commentary. This is where I do a voiceover throughout both of those video and still image presentations, where I provide some insight into the technical details, some of the science behind the eclipse, and some of the thought processes in going into the capture and the materials and equipment used. Then part 4 is an Insta360 real-time presentation of the total solar eclipse to give you a representation of what it was like to be there. So hopefully that brings back fond memories or helps to give you a little bit of a feel for what it's like to be under the shadow of the moon during a total solar eclipse. So I hope you enjoyed the presentations. Thanks a lot and clear skies. Seconds. 30 seconds.
I can take a picture with my camera, right?
Oh crap. Dang it, I forgot about that part.
It's less than 2 minutes.
All right, there we go. There we go. Woo! Woo!
There's Venus, there's Jupiter, Hanna.
How about that? Whoa! Alright, we're coming off. We're coming off. Here comes the diamond ring. Whoa! How about that?
Okay, you guys, don't look no more. Use your glasses now.
Woo!
There are a lot of people yelling.
So that is called,
Filters
that
on.
is called, I got it.
Guys, it's on dark for me. Whoa.
Yep, that was it, guys.
That was amazing.
That was amazing.
That's the only time you can see that.
I don't know where the cupcake is.
That's only up to 5 minutes. No, what 100 years.
Good morning. We are here Sunday, April 7th at Yellowwood State Forest Campground. We've done some preliminary testing of the two setups with 3 cameras, and so far all looks good. Let me show you the setups that we're using to hopefully capture the eclipse tomorrow. We're cautiously optimistic. This will be the timed still capture program through the Capture Eclipse software on the MacBook with the Canon RA and the Astro-Physics 92mm. We did a polar alignment last night with Polaris, and we have the Soul Finder, and this thing has been tested several hours. I don't have the computer hooked up yet, but this will be for a composite HDR still image capture. Then we have 2 riding on the Astro-Physics Mach1GTO. We have the 150 to 600 Sigma lens on the Canon RP. I'm hoping to capture stills, to do an animated still showing partial eclipse phases, and then I'm going to do a video capture through Totality that will expose more for the corona, and we'll see how that goes. I'm limited to 150 mil length because the alignment of the two can't center up in the 130 Astrophysics and also the 150. I don't really have a means of adjusting that. This was a late minute adjustment. Then on the 130, this is really the primary imaging goal. This has the Canon R5. The goal here is for 120 frames per second capture of Bailey's beads, and we'll also adjust the exposure through Totality to expand beyond just prominences and try to get probably half of a solar diameter of the corona. You meet the most amazing people at star parties and astronomy events, and in this case, in 2023 at the Almost Heaven Star Party, I met Tammy and Dan, and we struck up a friendship immediately, and we began having conversation around the eclipse. They, being from Indiana, had some great ideas about locations in Indiana. Dan and Tammy know the backwoods, backcountry, state forests, and so I thought it would be a great opportunity. And as we continue to watch the weather, as the eclipse day got closer, we really narrowed in on Indiana. I was ready to go anywhere from Vermont to Texas, but Indiana became just as good as anywhere else, and we went to Yellowwood State Forest between Bloomington and Nashville, Indiana. And on the Saturday night before the eclipse, I rose early and captured the Milky Way rising over Yellowwood State Forest Lake, looking south toward Louisville. This is with the Canon RA and the 20mm Sigma lens. And this is the Insta360 camera that I captured the entire eclipse with. I just wanted a wide-angle view, capture some sounds and sights during Totality. And this is our setup with mainly the 2 telescopic imaging systems, the 130 Astro-Physics and the 92mm Stowaway. You can see the high thin clouds. Most of the eclipse sites across the country had the prediction of some high thin clouds, so I thought we were just as good as anywhere. You can see here me scrambling. Thank goodness for Capture Eclipse software that reminded me to take the filters off. I was perfectly content, ready to let things go, and didn't remove the filters. And I did so with just literally seconds to spare. This is a time lapse with the Canon RP and the 150 to 600 Sigma zoom lens. Really only at about 150. I did crop in a lot for these frames and video capture. This is the video capture from the same setup. I wanted to capture the diamond ring. This is the drone DJI-3, and I wasn't sure this was the last minute, but I wanted to put it up and see if I could capture something on the horizon, and I think it does a nice job of just showing the illumination difference from 99% to 100% and the 360-degree sunset effect. Well, this video is the primary point of emphasis for my entire solar eclipse, and that's the 120 frames per second capture of Bailey's beads. So this is with the Canon R5, newly acquired on the 130 Astro-Physics. So it's a 5-inch, about 800 to 900 millimeters focal length, and this is 1/4000th of a second capture. So the goal here is to show the edge of the sun shining through those lunar valleys and showing in relief those lunar mountains. So after capturing Bailey's beads at that 1/4000th of exposure setting, I had a decision to make. One thing I didn't want to do was change the video capture mode while in process over totality. And I was using the remote Canon capture software through my MacBook Pro. And then I thought, well, let me change the exposure throughout totality, still at that 120 frames per second. So I did. I altered it. I went down as slow as 1/250th of a second. That'll be the brightest section you see. I also shot a 1/500th and a 1/1000th shutter speed while in that 120 frames per second. I shot C-Log with the R5 throughout the video. So this is all video that you're seeing, and I'm just ramping the exposure. Now switch back out to the RP on that 150 to 600. What I wanted to show here is this is a little sped up to show the lunar surface crossing that prominence, revealing that prominence that we all saw down there at the 5 o'clock position, which, throughout the course of the eclipse just became so prominent. Everyone was really just taken by the stunning color and contrast that prominence offered. So here we are back to, this is probably the 1/500th or 1/1000th exposure setting, and then I transition back to that 1/4000th so I can capture the C3 period of Bailey's beads as the lunar disk exits totality. If you watch the Insta360 full total solar eclipse video, you'll see our cloud cover does vary throughout totality, and fortunately during the late mid part of the eclipse through to this part, the cloud cover had thinned, and so it really gave us a nice view of, just a look at that stunning view of the remaining Bailey's beads. You can see that one bead right up there at the top coming through that lunar valley and the big mountain at the very top edge of the brighter part, and then of course that prominence down there at around 5 o'clock, and then even the prominence up at 3 o'clock was stunning. So we're back out to the 150 to 600 lens at about 150 on the RP, and just wanted to show the lunar disk exiting out past C3 and the diamond ring. This is real time, and then I go back into the time lapse with the same setup. The time lapse was 200 millimeters, f6.3, ISO 100, and 1/1600th of a second. I took an image every 45 seconds. I ended up with about 90 images for that time lapse. I would consider Yellowwood State Forest kind of a hidden gem. I can't imagine that it's on the top of too many tourist lists, but what a fantastic facility. And as you can see, throughout the day, the crowd certainly started to build at this beautiful state forest. And the grandchildren of Tammy and Dan were just pure delight to be around and really help make the experience so much more enjoyable. And it's great to share that experience with youngsters like that. So it was all in all a wonderful wonderful location and experience, and I hope you've enjoyed this commentary on the video portion. Stay tuned for the still photo portion. Welcome to the director's commentary for the still images. This first image is one that I did make a modification with my Canon R5 on that Astro-Physics 130 telescope and did capture a few still images. And I love the resolution of this one that really dives deep into that sunspot group, especially the one in the middle, and shows you some nice detail on the lunar surface up against the solar disk. Then I switch over. This is Capture Eclipse software, automated. All of this is automated now. The Canon RA on the 92mm scope. All images were at ISO 100. This diamond ring was captured at 1/125th of a second exposure. And I transition over to Bailey's beads. That's 1/4000th of a second exposure. And the software was automatic in capturing the chromosphere, which I love this shot. This is really isolating the chromosphere, and that is a 1/2000th second exposure that we just transitioned to. Now we're going to transition into the HDR portion, and the Capture Eclipse takes 3 sets of this during a 3+ minute totality. These exposures vary from 1/250th to 1/125th, to 1/60th, to 1/30th, to 1/15th, to 1/8th, to 1/4, to half a second, and as long as 1 second. So there are 9 total images, all at ISO 100, that are now being blended together to form this HDR composite. And this is what is largely a manual Photoshop blended HDR composite with those 9 images. And Capture Eclipse just repeats the same process as we go through C3 all the way to C4 with the automation. This is again a 1/2000th chromosphere exposure blending into that Bailey's beads at 1/4000th of a second at C3 point, and then going into the diamond ring, which is a 1/125th exposure, all on the Canon RA on that 92mm Astro-Physics Stowaway refractor. And these full frame sun filtered shots were all at ISO 100 and 1/1000th of a second exposure through the Canon RA, and again using Capture Eclipse automation, going through C4, and now we're back to totality with the eclipse being over. So I wanted to put together a montage, a couple of montages, and I like this presentation. It presents, I think, the most dramatic parts of the eclipse: the diamond rings, the prominences, the Bailey's beads, and a little corona all in one montage. This was one of the priority montages. This is from video grabs from that 120 frames per second video. Look at the lunar shadows. Can you see them depicted against the brightly lit portions of this Bailey's beads section? It's at less than 2 seconds, but it's 20 frames on each side that shows those lunar mountain shadows. A little bit more prominent on that left side, on that C2 side, but here even on the C3 side, you can see those lunar shadows graphically depicted against the brightly lit areas. And while during totality, while everything was fairly stable as the automated, I just grabbed the iPhone and really worked on the manual settings to capture an image that represented how things looked in reality. What a great experience. I hope you enjoyed totality.
Woo! Oh my God!
seconds.
30 seconds.
I can take a picture with my camera, right?
When it's gone,
Oh, crap. Dang it, I forgot about that part.
it's less than 2 minutes. Mike.
All right, there we go. There we go. Woo! Woo!
There's Venus. There's Jupiter. Comet. See?
How about that? Whoa!
Did he start? Look at the planet. Staring at the sun.
'Cause
Looks like an eyeball.
Yeah, I wish I didn't have that light on.
Oh my goodness, look at that.
20 seconds to max eclipse. Oh man, look at that prominence.
Yeah, I saw it.
Holy cow.
Wow. And this is in cloudy sky. That is amazing.
Maximum eclipse.
Very cool.
That's a huge prominence. I know the prominence.
Yeah, that is massive.
I'm over it.
That's bigger than, I don't remember seeing the one in 2017 that prominently.
Are you photographing?
Yeah, but it's off.
Yeah, look at that.
It'll get some photos, but they won't get. Can't practice that. Just is what it is. It looks like it's coming. It looks like the prominence is. I mean, it looks like it's a long way off. You see that, Jeff?
I know.
It looks like it's to the edge of the corona.
I have no idea how I got that light on that drone.
Jeff, do you see the
I see it. Isn't that spectacular?
What's the drum recording?
I think he'll remember it.
You gonna remember this, kids?
Yeah. I'm totally gonna remember it.
That prominence is unbelievable.
You didn't take any manner photos?
Stop.
I'm filming. I think.
All right, we're coming off. We're coming off.
Here, take this.
Here comes the diamond ring. Whoa! How about that?
Okay, you guys, don't look no more. Use your glasses now.
Woo!
There are a lot of people yelling.
So that is called,
Filters
that
on.
is called, I got it.
Guys, it's on dark.
Yep, that was it, guys.
That was amazing.
That was amazing.
That's the only time you can see that.
I don't know where the cupcake is.
That's only up to 5 meters. No, what 100 years.
Don't look without your glasses. Do not look without your glasses. Because it's back to the sunshine.